Hi, this is Mrs. Kidman, and in this video, we're going to be discussing how we can find the centroid of a triangle when it's given to us on a coordinate grid. So let's review, what is the centroid of a triangle? Well, the centroid of a triangle is the point where all the medians meet. Now let's go back. What is the median of a triangle? Well, the median of a triangle is the line that starts at the midpoint of the side of the triangle and then goes to the opposite vertex. So what we want to do is find the midpoint of each part of those lines on that coordinate grid, and then take that midpoint straight to the opposite vertex. And then the centroid will be that point where those medians meet. So let's go ahead and take a look at what these will look like. Okay, so let's find the centroid of the triangles below. Let's start with this first one here. So I'm going to just mark down where my medians are, just so that I have a good view of like, oh, this is where I need to start from, and this is the line that I need to draw. And then once we have that, we can use that to identify where that point is. So let's start with this first triangle on the left here. So when we have a straight line, it's easy to find the midpoint. We just figure out what halfway is. So this goes from 0 to -5. So that distance is actually 5. So halfway between 0 and -5, or halfway between 0 and 5 is 2.5. So we actually need to go to -2.5. And I'm just going to put a point right here. Then the other thing we want to do is find that midpoint of these other segments. Now, finding the midpoint, there's kind of two different things we can do. There is a midpoint formula, which works fantastic. Another way that I really like to do it is I like to look at what our slope is and figure out what half of each of those things are. So for example, let's take a look at this line. Our slope here is -3/1. So I want to go over half and half of -3, which is -1.5. So I want to go down 1.5. So here's 1.5 and over 3, or over half. And this is where that midpoint is. We can do the same thing on this other one. So let's look at our slope. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 1, 2, 3. So that means I need to go over 2, up 1.5, 1.5, and this right here is my point. Awesome. Now that I have my 3 midpoints, I need to find my median. And remember, to find that median, what we're going to do is just take our midpoint, I'm going to use red here, and go from our midpoint straight to the opposite vertex. So let's start with this point here. I'm going to, where are we at? Here's our line. Here's my color. Perfect. Let's try this. Bam. Start. Oh my goodness, my line does not want to work for me today. Okay, let's try it one more time. There we go. There's a line. I guess we are just going to have to be happy with black. And let's shift it back a little bit. Okay, so there's our line. Now let's take a look at our next line here. So we want to go from this point to the opposite corner. Awesome. And then lastly, from this point to the opposite corner. Now we can see that all 3 of our points here, or all 3 of our lines, crossed at this point here. And so the centroid of this triangle below is going to be that point, which is the point -3, -1. Fantastic. Okay, now let's do the exact same thing with this next one. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to start by identifying where our midpoints are. So this bottom line is really long here. We go from -3 up to 9, and that's a distance of 12, and half of 12 is 6, so we want a distance of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will put us right here. And then our next line, remember, to find these diagonal lines, what we're going to do is we're going to look at our slope. So in this case, we went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and over 1, 2, 3. So we want to go up 3, which is half of 6. And over 1.5, 1.5. Now you may notice that there's actually something really cool that happens when we're dealing with these. Is when you go up your halfway distance, what actually happens is as you get ready to go over, you hit your triangle exactly where you need to be, which makes it so nice. So let's take a look at this next one. So we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in this case, we went back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So half of 6 is 3, half of 9 is 4.5. So I need to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and back 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. And that'll get me to this beautiful point right here. Fantastic. Okay, our picture keeps shifting a little bit on us. Let me draw this point one more time. Right there. Fantastic. Now what we need to do is connect those points. So remember, we're going to go from the midpoint to the opposite vertex. So in this case, we'd start here and go over to here. In this case, we're going to start here and draw our line to here. And lastly, we'll start here and draw our line to here. Oh, the line is a little bit off, so I'm going to adjust it. Perfect. And now we can see that centroid, or that cross point of our three medians, is going to be right here. And what is that point? Well, in this case, we're going to be at the point 2, -4. Okay, so that is how you would find the centroid of a triangle if it's given to us on a coordinate system. Again, we're going to, if it's a horizontal line, so one that we can just count the distance, then we're going to do half of that. If it's a diagonal line, so a line with a slope, we're going to do half the slope up, or half the distance up, half the distance over. So if we went up 6 over 3, we'd go up 3 over 1.5. And that's how we find that midpoint. Again, you can also use the midpoint formula if you're interested, but I find that this way is a little bit easier. So please check out the next video in which we're going to discuss a little bit more about our altitude and where it's located. And then lastly, check out the last video in which we use the median and centroid properties to determine different parts of triangles and different lengths within those triangles.